Thank you so much for finding time to watch this video. My name is Dave Shrimpton. I'm a large format and a wet plate collodion photographer. Great honour last year to be Portrait of Britain winner with the British Journal of Photography with this little tiny glass ambrotype. I've currently got an exhibition in Julia Margaret Cameron's house in Dimbola on the Isle of Wight. Julia is my favourite photographer of all time. I mean, it's really the birthplace for me of creative portraiture using wet plate collodion. So to have some of my work exhibited alongside hers is the greatest honour I could ever ask for, sort of thing. So welcome, this is episode 1. If you follow me on Instagram, you kind of know what it is I do with large format and wet plate collodion. I'm going to be going through my cameras, I'm going to be going through my techniques, about what I do, how I do it. And this is going to be about creative analog photography. This isn't going to be about looking at just posh lenses and cameras that sit on shelves and don't do very much and it's all a bit techie. This is about actually doing stuff, being creative. So as I say, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have an idea of what I do. So please come along with me and we'll start here and we'll jump straight in. So having said that I'm large format and wet plate collodion, for me, it all started here. I was creative director of a digital agency and I'd been doing digital photography for a long time, and I fell out of love with photography completely because I just didn't feel connected with it until I went with that little camera, went round India with 24 rolls of film, and I just fell in love with the fact that people loved the process, they loved the camera, they wanted to talk about it. And then I moved on to this. So when I got back, I went and worked with my dear friend Sadie, and we went to an old Gothic house and we started to shoot. We were shooting abandoned angels in abandoned houses, and I just fell in love with this process of slowing down and just more time on contemplation, on composition, rather than just click, 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 click. So it very quickly moved on to large format. So I went for this. This is my beautiful 1948 Crown Graphic. This camera I've probably taken, I don't know, over 2,000 sheets of film with this camera. It's my everyday work camera. So I'll be doing an episode on how it works, what to do with it, and probably most importantly, what not to do with it as well. I love that camera. I mean, the type of work it can take is, for instance, here's another one of my dear friend Sadie. So this was taken on Hectare, developed in C41 chemistry. So I'll be doing episodes on developing black and white and colour in C41. Remarkably easy to do C41, and I'll be running through that as well. But this is another image taken with that camera. This is my dearest friend Katerina. So if you know me or you know Instagram, you'll know Katerina just loves analog photography, and we work together a huge amount. So you'll be seeing a lot of shots of Katerina and how much she enjoys it. In fact, I think what we're going to do is we're going to have some episodes where we're just going to have conversations between a model and a photographer about what it is that they love about the process. So with this lovely little camera, I'd fallen in love with the work of a man called George Harrell. If you know George Harrell's work, he was around in the 40s and 30s, and he was photographing all of the Hollywood greats. So we did this shoot here. So this was Katerina, and this is just shooting with one light. So we just got one light, one tungsten light, and it's all about lighting. He was the king of shadow and light. So that's what that was about. Anyway, things moved on. So I moved on to this camera. This is a speed graphic. Now the speed graphic is a focal plane shutter camera. So that suddenly opens up a whole load of possibilities. For instance, I can shoot with the Aero Hectare lens. Aero Hectare is just a beautiful lens to work with. Crazy expensive, hard to find, but beautiful. And that took stuff like this. So again, we're back in the abandoned house, and I'm shooting with Sadie again with angels. And this thing's got this tiny depth of field, I think 2.5, f2.5, but it lets me do this sort of stuff. So I'm falling in love now with the flexibility of working with lots of beautiful old lenses. So I've got this amazing £1,000 lens, but then I pick up this little thing for £60. That's a £60 projector lens. That'll go in my speed graphic, and that enabled me to take stuff like this. So this was Bob the Goth. This was wandering around Brighton one day. I came across this wonderful gentleman. Can I take your portrait? Yes, dear boy. And we took a portrait. something that with analog you tend to find if you talk to people, they're quite happy to have their picture taken. But yeah, so love this camera and all the possibilities that it gives me. Then if you follow me, as I say, on Instagram, you'll know that I do a series called The Lane. I work down the lane, and that is using this camera. Oh, it's easy reaching over. This is my massive single lens reflex SLR super reflex. So it's got a big ball projector lens in a 3D printed front with a Minolta, I think, prism finder on the top. It's 5" by 4" and it enables me to shoot, can you believe it, handheld. That, I love that camera. It's so much flexibility. And in fact, it took this image here. Whoops. So that's my friend Camille. And that was the first sheet of colour film I ever took and developed. And that's done with that lovely lens at f2.5. So as I say, I'll be running through that camera, how it works. And this is not a good example of how that lens works, but it gives you a rough idea. You can start to see the bokeh, which you kind of get with Pets4 lenses. We'll be doing a lot on Pets4 lenses in later episodes. So that's where I'm going with all that stuff. It opens up a whole new world. For instance, I've got a 10x8 camera. So this is shooting 10x8. 10x8 is just wonderful. And I'll be running through other stuff. For instance, 10x8. This is the George Harrell shoot shot at 10x8. Dodge and burn in the darkroom. I'll be talking about shooting 10x8 Polaroids. And I'll be talking about RA4 color reversal. So that's taken in the camera, in my large mahogany camera, developed in the dark in black and white chemistry, and as if by magic, while the model stood by my side, it turns to color when I put it in the next chemical. It's just a phenomenal process. I absolutely adore it. But I'm going to move on to wet plate. So obviously I shoot wet plate with this lovely Dalmaya 3B. I work with people like Katerina, so that's a 5" by 4" tintype. This was the lovely Basia I was working with a few weeks ago. That's a tintype, and this is the wonderful, excuse me, Katerina, who just adores wet plate and can't get enough of wet plate. So we'll be running through all of that. But while I was on the Isle of Wight in Dimbola, we were shooting some portraits, and I shot these little portraits of the staff. And this is a tiny little glass ambrotype. It's positive now and it turns negative when I take that out of the way. And we shot that, can you believe it or not? I've got all these beautiful Pets4 lenses, but we shot that with this camera and this tiny little 40-pound lens. Absolutely adore it. So it's not about how expensive the lens is, it's what you do with it. For instance, early on with my original Graflex Super D, I hacksawed the back of this lens off, or one of these lenses, and put it in. That opened up a whole new world for me. So that's what it's going to be about. And I'll also be talking about stuff like this. This is the big Gatchel lens that goes in my chapel camera that enables me to shoot 10:8 with a guillotine shutter and to do high definition video. And then stuff like this, which is on exhibition at the Julia Margaret Cameron's house. This is a 7x5 glass ambrotype. So just to say, please do subscribe. If you know anyone that wants to take up analog photography, this is what it's about. This isn't about, like, as I say, like just the theory and everything else. This is about genuinely do it. So I think it says click like or click to subscribe. If you know anyone, please get them subscribed. And coming up in that direction in a minute will be a demonstration of, or some exhibits and demonstrations of some of the images I've taken with these cameras and so these processes. So thank you so much. I look forward to future episodes with you, and please do drop me a note. Tell me what you want to know about, because I've got a lot of knowledge and I'd love to sort of pass some of it all on. Thank you so much for your time. soon.